Hello and welcome back to HVAC Shop Talk. My name is Zach Ciota, and my camera's slightly not quite better. I like that better. That's better. It's good to be back here, guys. Good to see you all here chatting away, chatting like there's no tomorrow. And I want to open the show talking about something that I think is very, very important in our lives as HVAC guys. HVAC guys with families. This is specifically for HVAC guys with families. Now, when you have a family, it's usually, if you're a guy, you have a wife. I know it's modern times, but typically it's a guy and a wife. And it is so important that if you're going into the HVAC field and you are either not yet married, maybe you acquire a wife during the, sounds like you have a mail order bride or something like that. So you send your postage to the Ukraine and she gets here, but you've already started your HVAC career, then I think it's very, very important you are upfront, honest, communicating well with that wife, girlfriend, whatever, about what an HVAC career entails. Because an HVAC career, depending on what you're going to do with it, it can be very time consuming, very labor intensive. That's what mechanics say whenever your stuff's going to cost a lot. The part was only $30, but it was very labor intensive. That means your $30 part's going to be $500. That's how people think when we come to their houses too, by the way. It's like, I looked up the blower motor, and for some reason now that the customer has a northern accent, and before my mechanic did, but the customer now has a northern accent, which I like doing, so I'm just going to continue that. So he says, I looked up this blower motor, and it only cost $100, but you're charging me $250? What's the deal? We get that all the time. That's neither here nor there, but it's just funny because I often think of mechanics how our customers think of me. I don't know why that is. But that's just what I do. I'm always like, he's going to charge me 5 times more than he has to. I'm going to take it to the shade tree mechanic. He says he can get the part, but he's got to wait for, it to fall out of another truck. Come on. Where's that truck? We'll just take it. Whatever. It's funny. So anyway, if you, in all honesty, if you have a girlfriend that's going to become your wife, if you have just acquire a girlfriend in the course of an HVAC career, it is very important to communicate with them about what an HVAC career is, because it is extremely time consuming. The hours are excessive, and a lot of times this is for service techs, but installers get into this too. Whenever you get into the dog days of summer, especially as far as around here, you're going to have your installers working weekends, working late in the day, sometimes doing, forget what Ted calls this, like a double, triple-double or something like that. Whatever you do more than one install a day, there's a name like he gave it. I forget what it was. But if you're doing double-doubles, triple-doubles, or maybe even the very rare quadra-double, if you do a quadra-double, my hat is off to you. And if they're full systems, you're doing something wrong. I mean, come on. You're pulling that vacuum down to 500 microns. There's no compromise in summer, guys. You can't pull it down to 1,700 microns just because it's summer. All right? I know all of you out there are like, you've compromised your virtues before pulling your vacuums to like 1,000. It's like, it's good enough, man. It's good enough, man. We got 5 more jobs. We got to pull a quadruple-double today, man. It's not an excuse, bro. But I have used that excuse myself. But it's not permitted. Even though I've done it, you shouldn't do it. So, do as I say, not as I do. It's my fathering technique that I use as well. Do as I say, not as I do. Meanwhile, when I was the age of my children, I was already drinking heavily. I hope they're not watching this, okay? Because it was a mistake. If they are watching it, it was a mistake. But when you get a girlfriend or you get a wife and you have not communicated with her, and all of a sudden you're out till 10 o'clock all summer long, you're out on Sundays, you're out on Saturdays, it can cause a really big problem in your life. And that lack of communication is going to cause you a lot of negative interaction. That is the lightest way to say that. Do you like sleeping on the couch? Do you like your wife saying, I'm going to my sister's house? Do you like your wife saying, I'm taking the kids? You're never even around. You don't even remember their birthdays, Brian. That's not specific. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I'm just kidding. It's a joke. You guys don't know what I mean anyway, probably. But you will get into a world of hurt and trouble and heartache if you don't communicate that properly. And you have to make sure you balance as well as you can, because sometimes it's out of your control. And you have to realize that your career goals are going to impact how your life is played out in the long run and how your children and wife perceive you and interact with you. Point being, a lot of guys I know love being service techs. Being a service tech is fun. Being a service tech is interesting. You go to new places all the time. You see new things. It's constantly evolving. So it's a fun career. But if you choose that as your career and you have no greater aspiration, then you are signing up for a world of hurt if you have a family. Because as time goes by, I think it should be the goal, or your goal personally, to find yourself in a spot where you have more time, making more money with more free time. Get higher up, become a manager, do whatever, so you can then have either the leverage or the ability to say, all right, I'm working these hours. This is what I'm going to do. Then I'm going to head home. I know my family has X amount of time with me, because as a service tech, you don't have the leverage for that. You can't go in there and say, well, I'm not working these hours. So, all right, we'll go work for a different company then. And you're like, okay, then what hours did you say? You can't really do that. But once you move farther along and you have seniority, you can make those sort of decisions, and people will listen to you because you've earned that right, and you become more efficient, and you can do a job, and you don't have to work till 10 p.m. at night. But if you choose to stay a service tech your entire life, or like me before, a one-man company, you are not going to have that luxury ever. It's an illusion. One-man company is an illusion. It's not freedom. It's like the anti-freedom. You think it's freedom, but it's a prison of your own design. Instead of being put in somebody else's constrict, instead of putting in somebody else's prison or jail, you are actually building your own jail cell to live in. And only comfort you have is that you get to live in a jail cell that you built yourself. And then you realize, hey, that's not a comfort. That's awful. That's the same thing, except for the illusion that I'm free because I did it myself. If you are a one-man show, that's how it's going to be. You can move past it to a certain degree. If you build a large enough clientele, you can have times you work. If you build enough trust with people, they will work with you more than someone you just met. Example being, somebody calls you on the phone, says, I have a baby and an elderly person, which is always the case. Everyone has babies and elderly people clogging up the entire square footage of their home. All you can see in most customers' homes are babies. And when you finally get past them, it's nothing but the elderly. And all those elderly are in stage 4 of some disease. So you have to get there as soon as possible. And if you can't come, we're going to call somebody else. That's what it is. It's always, wait, we're going to have to call somebody else. We really wanted to give you money. Do you not like money? And then you're like, as a young business owner, well, yeah, I don't have any money. I do like it. So you go out to the call. Because you want that money, because you got, half a tank of gas, and after that, life's going to be a mystery. So you go out to the call, and you work on the unit, because you have to. But as you progress and build up trust, you have a client base that when they call you, you say, all right, well, I can come out at 8 a.m. in the morning. They're not going to read you a long story, for the most part, about how their life is horrible until you get there. They're going to work with you, because you have built up a client base with trust. And even if they give you some pushback, they're not going to be inclined to say, I'm calling somebody else, because you have built up that relationship. And even though they may lose comfort in the short run by sticking with you, they trust you. So they don't have to worry about some other guy they don't know coming inside and, changing all their filters and unplugging all the wires and trying to trick them and steal them, like Dateline. Dateline doesn't help. Because if you watch some of the Dateline specials, and there's one a local station did, it's on YouTube, that I've watched like twice. It's like 6 guys came in, and like all 6 guys screwed the people over. Every single one of them. It's like, come on, is there not like one guy that's like a legit, honest, happy guy? That's nuts. All 6 of them. So it's not building much faith in our industry. And this is what people are watching. So when they think of us, this is what they think of. So remember that when you're out there in the field. And we'll talk about that when I come back. If you want to watch more videos just like this one, click on this playlist right here. If you want to see our brand new video, click right here. If you want to find out more about the great sponsors that make this show happen, click up here. And to join our email list where I notify you when we're going live, click right here.